Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Eve Stevens, one of the ministers of this congregation, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Whether you are a member or a guest joining us for the first time, I'm delighted that you are spending part of your morning here with us. I invite you to head to our public Facebook page, where you'll find a Sunday service post that allows you to exchange greetings with one another in real time. Welcome to each of you. In 2010, longtime social worker and researcher Brené Brown gave a TED Talk called The Power of Vulnerability. Brown had collected and reviewed hundreds of personal stories of struggle. Then she read them through and through, looking for common themes. After years of study, Brown found that people who felt deeply connected with other human beings were living with what she called wholeheartedness, or living a wholehearted life, a courageous life of compassion and integrity. According to Brown, living with your whole heart required two things: a willingness to share your heart without knowing whether or not other people will share theirs in return. You might say, "I love you," and they may not say it back. You might say what you truly think and find that the people around you turn away. You might say you're sorry before the one you harmed is ready to hear it. You might leave a way of living that doesn't bring you alive anymore and find yourself alone for a time. Brown says, in order to live a wholehearted life, you must be willing to share your heart with others, with the world, even though you don't know if others will share theirs in return. And, Brown shared, in order to live a wholehearted life, you must learn to recognize that what makes you vulnerable is also what makes you and life beautiful.
Into this home we are creating together, this home called community. Bring your longing for a world that is more fair and kind. Bring your curiosity and a sense of wonder. Bring what you know of abundance and your willingness to grow. Bring your whole heart to this shared creation. You are needed in our togetherness. An invitation, and with love, relight this chalice, the symbol of our faith. Hi, I'm Kate Stroud, one of the members of this congregation. One thing I love about my experience with this community is teaching our middle school youth. I want to say welcome, in particular to any newcomers with us today. If you are a guest feeling curious about who we are and what we have to offer, I recommend exploring our website. On our website, you'll find our weekly e-newsletter, Currents, which will give you a rundown of the latest opportunities for social connection and spiritual growth. I encourage you to reach out to our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Kelly can help you get to know us better, answer any questions you have about becoming a member, or put you in touch with one of our ministers. Her email is Kelly, Kelly, @uuccharlotte.org. Again, welcome.
Brené Brown argues, in her own words, that we are biologically hardwired for connection. And Brown explains, in order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. In his essay, Down at the Cross, James Baldwin details his observations of white culture and white people. Having spent years looking in at whiteness from the outside, Baldwin holds up a mirror to his white neighbors. He asks that they allow themselves to be seen, really seen, and to see themselves. Baldwin maintains that his white neighbors will find upon looking in the mirror that the most foundational sense of worthiness they have been taught is the worthiness that comes from a presumed superiority over Black people. But Baldwin seems to wonder, what if white people lay their hearts bare? What if white people stripped away the insulation of denial and the shield of defensiveness? What if white people gave up their cover of silence, the armor that restricts their ability to grow and change? What if white people stopped denying that racist institutions and ways of life privilege and protect them? Baldwin supposes that if white people lay their hearts bare, they would expose that long denied longing within us all to belong with one another. And as a terrifying consequence, the white world of privileged protection would be lost. Which is why Baldwin says we so desperately seek and cunningly avoid love. Because, he writes, love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without and know we cannot live within. He goes on, I use the word love here not merely in the personal sense, but as a state of being or a state of grace. Not in the infantile American sense of being made happy, but in the tough and universal sense of quest and daring and growth. In order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. We have to be willing to see ourselves. In the many interviews since her TED Talk, Brené Brown has expanded on her understanding of the ways we are biologically hardwired for connection. Brown says she has a deeply held belief that we are inextricably connected to each other by something greater than us. And that thing that is greater, she says, is rooted in love and compassion. She continues, we are connected to each other in a way that cannot be severed. Then Brown explains, in order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. Author and professor of African American literature, Kim McLaurin, writes about attending one of her high school reunions. High school was not an easy time for McLaurin. She was one of very few Black students at a mostly white boarding school in New Hampshire. She spent much of her adolescence feeling homesick, isolated, and lonely. At this reunion, a white high school classmate approached her to make small talk. As McLaurin puts it, her classmate began the ritual of remembrance of intimidating teachers and painful heartbreaks, blistering self-consciousness and bewildering adolescence, intensified by being at one of the nation's top boarding schools. McLaurin nodded along and shared her own experience of feeling intimidated and often insecure. Her white classmate would not hear it, insisting McLaurin had always been so strong and confident. After a few more attempts to share her genuine experience, McLaurin gave up. Later, McLaurin asked a number of Black women in her life why they had so few white women friends. She got a range of answers, but the one that stood out to her most was, "They don't see me. My white friends don't see me." McLaurin reflected that the catch here is that to love someone simply because of who she is, one must first see that person. Not a stereotype or a fantasy, neither a charity case nor an abstract threat, just a human being. She goes on, at the core of love is vulnerability. So too, friendship. To be vulnerable, she says, is to be human, and to be human is to be vulnerable, whether we like it or not. McLaurin describes the life-giving ability of true friends to nurture each other because they are able to see each other. They know each other intricately. She concludes, the key word is each other. White women must not only expect nurturing, but also must nurture in return. Because, of course, we only unlock our deep connectedness with one another, only rest in the trust of real relationship, real belonging, when the willingness to be seen is met with a willingness to see.
Broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round. You can't find a fighter. Well, I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we gon' afraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountains, take it to its feet. Ooh, mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. After that we have each other. After that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. We'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the wave. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
James Baldwin writes, "Love takes off the mask that we fear we cannot live without, and know we cannot live within." This really resonates with me. Some of you know that for many years I dealt with mental health challenges. When I was in graduate school, the first time round, is when things got really bad. I pretended everything was fine on the outside, but on the inside, I was crumbling. I knew the barrier I kept up between the outside world and what was really going on inside me would crumble as well. I dealt with severe depression, anxiety, and was constantly having panic attacks. I could barely leave my apartment. Eventually, I resorted to hurting myself to try and make it stop. If it wasn't for the love and support of my family, I don't know if I would be here talking with you today. I got the help I needed, and after 3 hospitalizations, different types of therapy, and lots of hard work, I finally made it to a place where I was, as we say in the mental health community, living well. Today I'm still living well. I haven't had a panic attack in years, and I haven't cut myself in over 6 years. Now, as a certified peer support specialist, I use my recovery story to help others who are currently struggling. In doing so, I choose to be vulnerable every day, retelling my story over and over, while learning to walk the line of sharing without triggering myself. Now, telling my story is something that is almost empowering, knowing that by being vulnerable, my recovery story could be someone else's roadmap to their own recovery. As peer support specialists, we often talk about connecting with people not with our heads, but with our bodies and hearts. To have that heart-to-heart conversation is brave and bold because it puts both people in vulnerable position. That's the only way that real transformation is possible. Being your true, authentic self with another person can be a hard thing, but it can also be a beautiful thing that makes real communication possible. As my favorite author, Paulo Coelho, writes, "Stay close to those who are not afraid to be vulnerable, because they have confidence in themselves and know that at some point in our lives, we all stumble. They do not interpret this as a sign of weakness, but of humanity."
I invite you now to get a little more comfortable wherever you are, perhaps to feel your feet on the floor. Feel your weight in the chair. Close your eyes and drink in a few moments of quiet as you deepen your breath. This meditation is called Boldly You Must Hang Your Light, and it's by Teresa I. Soto. You are used to casual mentions of the place where you belong. Faith, ethics, love in action. But what if more were possible? What if you had a sign? Garish neon, bringing with enthusiasm the occasional blink and ongoing bug zapper buzz. You are the oasis. You are the hospital for broken hearts. Grow unashamed at your own healing and connection. Grow proud of your diligence in keeping mutually dependent promises. Grow affectionate and supportive toward your community, even though it is imperfect. But most of all, be foolish for love, tender-hearted for love, and bold for love. Boldly you must hang your light. Blessed be.
Bring what you know of abundance here. It takes each one of us giving generously to sustain this spiritual community. Thank you for paying your pledges and for the additional contributions you make through our electronic giving portals such as Venmo and Text to Give. Thank you for making all that we do together possible.
Yet again, this past week, around the world, here in our country and in our own community, there has been so much to hold and so much to mourn. Throughout the news stories circling between us this week, I read and heard so many names of people who have died. Loved ones remembering each precious individual behind each name. We marked the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder. Again, we were reminded of the names of other Black neighbors who have been killed by police-initiated violence. Andrew Brown Jr., Dante Wright, Breonna Taylor, and the loved ones they left behind. As we heard about another mass shooting, this time in San Jose, California, we heard too about the people who lost their lives. Timothy Michael Romo, Tadapjeep Singh, others, and the loved ones they leave behind. And there's a list of North Carolinians who have died while serving in the military since last Memorial Day. Brian Mount, Jean Cruz de Leon, and others, and the loved ones they leave behind. These names and so many more unspoken weigh on our hearts. These names break through our busyness and distraction to feel fleetingly the particular life behind each name and the vastness of loss. Within our own congregation, we send our love to those in our spiritual community who are grieving, who are healing, who are celebrating. Their hearts more awake today to life's beauty and the depth of our connectedness with one another. We continue to mourn the death of our beloved member, Don Crawford, and invite members of this community to join with Don's family in a celebration of his life, officiated by our minister, Jay Leach, on Friday, June 4th at 11 a.m. at the Mint Museum, Randolph. We hold in our hearts Jacob and Julie Bessie as they mourn the death of their most beloved dog. We hold deep in our prayers Sage Brooke and Dara Whittle and their whole family, and join them in mourning the death of our beloved member and former director of music, Dale Brooke. We're sending love to Michael Amy Sira in this time of concern for her mother's health. We hold in our hearts Chris Clark, Denise Weldon Clark, and their family as they mourn the recent deaths of Chris's aunt and uncle. We are celebrating too, celebrating with Greg Cole upon his recent marriage. And we celebrate with Bill and Carol Gay upon their 50th wedding anniversary and as they welcome their first grandchild into the world. We're holding in our prayers Kelly Green in this time of concern for her mother's health. We're sending love to Julie Prentice as she recovers from an additional procedure and in this time of concern for the health of her mother. We continue to hold in our hearts Becky Whittington as she recovers from a medical procedure and endures ongoing health challenges. And we remind you, if you are experiencing hardship due to the pandemic and struggling to cover essential financial needs, I encourage you to reach out to me or to Jay to request assistance from our UUCC Cares Fund, and know that you are in our prayers as well. Our closing words are by Stephen Levine. There is an elemental love in the universe, by which name we know each other and encourage ourselves to live. There is a living river that connects everything from which some part of us never leaves. There is a mercy making its way up through the ocean of the earth to the shores of our feet. There is a music so sweet, it is almost unbearable, that is composed between the ear and the heart, which reminds us. Be well. Reach out when you need us, and we'll see you soon.